Travel at low cost with points and miles. Credit card rewards bring the smiles. Many adventures, tales to be told. Make and save money, the world will unfold. Fight the war on happiness, pick up the gold. The Gurdy Travel Podcast breaks the mold.
You're listening to the Hurdy Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Vacula, here to help you travel the world at next to no cost with credit card points, miles, benefits, and loyalty programs. Make money, save money, and take advantage of great deals. Thanks for joining me for today's episode, Zorkfest 2025 with Michael Trager. Special guest Michael Trager joins me to talk about the upcoming miles, points, and gambling event, Zorkfest, which takes place December 5th through the 7th in Las Vegas. Visit meetup.com/Philly miles and points to RSVP for monthly Greater Philadelphia travel, credit miles and points meetups I host in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. The next meetups are June 22nd and July 13th, 2025. Find a link in the show notes. For more content between podcast episodes, follow Hurdy Travel Podcast on Facebook and X. Follow Justin Vacula on Instagram. Subscribe to Hurdy Travel Podcast on YouTube, where you can become a channel member for daily content, including travel videos, podcast clips, community, and bonus videos. Welcome back to the show, Michael Trager.
Thank you for having me back to the show. I'm really glad to be here.
Returning guest, Zorkfest continues, and if you could tell us about Zorkfest 2025, a yearly tradition.
Been the last couple of years for sure. What I like to say with Zorkfest is our tagline is travel smarter and gamble smarter. Essentially, we are a travel loyalty conference, which is focused heavily on consumers or regular individuals, so it's not corporate. We also integrate into that casino loyalty. I'm sure most people who listen to what travel loyalty is, but when we talk about travel loyalty, we talk about using loyalty programs to maximize and make our travel experiences better. And those could be the airline loyalty programs like American Airlines Advantage or Delta SkyMiles, and also hotel loyalty programs, and all of the wonderful currencies that we use through travel loyalty, like Ultimate Rewards and American Express membership rewards. So we go pretty deep into all of those things at Zorkfest, but I think we do it a little bit differently than most other conferences, and I think we'll discuss some of that today.
This year, we're at a new venue. Can you talk about the new venue?
Yeah, the new venue is awesome. It is the M Resort. It is not a venue that's on the Las Vegas Strip. We still consider it very much in Las Vegas. Why is this such a good venue for the conference? Because it is a very nice 4-star resort, great room product, as well as all of the features you would expect at a resort, great spa, etc. And they also have a free airport shuttle for anybody staying at the hotel, which is great. And they've given us a reduced resort fee. But on top of that, they've become a very good partner with us because they allow us to do some of the casino events and casino instructional things that we plan at Zorkfest. So it's really good. It's a little bit of a distance from the Strip, but for most people, that doesn't make much of a difference for the trip because the days of Zorkfest, they're pretty much so involved with the resort hotel. And I know a number of people coming to Zorkfest they extend their Vegas trip. So a lot of people that do come to Zorkfest stay in Vegas for anywhere from 3 to 5 days. So what a lot of people are doing is they're starting off their trip at Zorkfest with Friday and Saturday night at M Resort. And then they're continuing the rest of their trip at a second property, often using their comp offers or their FHR offers. So it works out pretty well.
Yes, and many, I'm sure, will be staying at Rio, so the ride share from Rio to M won't be too long either.
No, that's not bad. And that's true. Those staying at Rio because of Hyatt One of the things that we've always done with Zorkfest is we've never required you to stay at the host hotel or to stay here because of a room, stay at the hotel because of a room block. Because, of course, since we're very much into travel loyalty, we want people to be able to use their best option for the hotel and not have to be roped into staying at the host hotel for the conference. So that's become a really good thing for some people, because some people like they just have a particular property that they like in Las Vegas. And the important differentiator for Zorkfest, especially for those who bring a P1 or P2 to the trip, is we're doing this in Las Vegas, and we're consistently now doing it in Las Vegas because we want you to get all of the goodness of a wonderful learning experience weekend and a wonderful social weekend, but we also really want you to be able to have a great weekend in Vegas, whatever that means to you. If that means to you a great foodie weekend or going to shows or gambling. So the way that we set up Zork is that the main meat of the conference pretty much so runs all day on Saturday. Other than the cocktail reception on Friday night, which is of course optional, you have time to do what you want to do in Vegas on Friday night. You actually have time to do what you want to do in Vegas on Saturday night. And you could have Sunday completely free. So you can do Zorkfest and still have a really fun weekend in Las Vegas. That's especially good for people who bring a spouse or friends who are not interested in coming to the conference. So you're not stuck in conference rooms all weekend. We do have a number of optional activities that go on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which would allow you to participate in all of those activities if you wanted to do more things, more educational things, and more social things. So that's good to keep in mind for people. Number one is, yes, we're very into the educational stuff. We really want you to get a lot out of the conference, but we also value it's your weekend away and you deserve to have a great weekend in Vegas the way that you would like to have a weekend. This year, we're doing something really cool on Friday. On Friday afternoon, before the cocktail reception, we're doing what we call pre-sessions. And that's basically, we like to say, first time at Zorkfest, new to Miles and Points, or new to casino loyalty. These sessions prior to the cocktail reception on Friday night allow you to review terminology, catch up, and get in the learning zone for an epic weekend. So if you've never come, one of the biggest things we always hear, we've never gone to a conference like this, and I'm not sure I understand all the terminology, or I really am ready for it. I'm a little bit nervous about that. We're solving that problem with these pre-sessions. And what's really cool is we have a pre-session for travel loyalty and a pre-session for casino loyalty. So if you're a travel loyalty person who's new to casino loyalty and just wants to brush up on some things with casino loyalty, you could do that, or vice versa. If you're a real person who's always been into casinos and casino loyalty programs, but now you're really trying to get yourself into travel loyalty, you could do that. So we've decided to do that on Friday. We've also, last year, we introduced labs for some of the games, which include craps and blackjack. And that's small group instructional sessions on two of the most popular casino games. We hear it a lot with craps because people are very intimidated by craps and dice in general. So we have these hands-on sessions teaching craps and blackjack with some experts in the field, which is awesome. But this year, we decided to introduce something called Miles and Points Labs, where you're going to work with experts on the best strategies for aspirational points redemptions and achieving status and perks. So we're going to have these little sessions where you can get one-on-one assistance. So there might be like a lab that's, I want to aspirational, like first in business class, long haul travel. So we might have a little lab on that where you can ask questions and strategies. So that's another thing that we've added. So not only do you have the choice at Zorkfest to go to all of these great sessions where you can ask questions and listen to great speakers who are experts in their field, and we also offer on Sunday masterclasses, which are an additional cost and are in-depth sessions, which we'll get to a little bit later. Now we've got these labs where you can get like more like one-on-one kind of assistance and also meet some of the experts who are the speakers. So we think that's a really neat idea. So we're always trying to do things a little bit differently. And we're also always trying to give you a little bit more of a custom experience so you can focus a little bit on the things that are really important to you, as well as being inspired by all of these talks and learning a lot.
And thanks for the invitation. Happy to be a speaker once again. Can you talk about some of the other speakers who will be at the event?
We will be adding probably a few more speakers. If you go to Zorkfest.com, that brings you to the main Zorkfest website. It's a really great website because we put a lot of time into lots of features of the website. And one of them, on the top, there's a menu bar that brings you to all of the speakers and everybody involved. So Anthony Curtis is returning once again this year. He has been operating Las Vegas Advisor for a number of years. He's one of the 5 best blackjack players in the world. He talks a lot about casino strategy, comp strategy. Dia Adams, who is one of the foremost experts in the world on family travel and also Disney hacks and trips, will be speaking. We have John and Christina of Vegas Advantage, who will be talking a lot about casino loyalty, but also specifics with regard to table games and video poker. We have Dave Grossman, the founder of Miles Talk, who talks a lot about, pretty much so coined the status merry-go-round, and talks a lot about integrating travel loyalty and casino loyalty and why you should. We have Julia of GeoBreeze Travel. She does a ton of content and expert content on miles and points and also optimizing your miles, and is, I would say, very focused on people who don't necessarily have the time to figure out what are their best strategies. So helping them with that. She also has a really good podcast for GeoBreeze, which I suggest you check out. We have Justin, once again, who is going to discuss a number of things with regard to casino loyalty. I can let you go into a little bit more of what you're discussing. We've got Ronnie this year from Living the High Life, Secrets of Jet Setting Around the Globe. And we've got Maria of Family Travel Asia, Angie of Award Travel 101. We also have Joseph of Award Travel 101, but that pretty much so rounds out all of the speakers who are basically doing sessions. We also have Josh Duffy of Crap Vegas, as well as a number of other basically casino influencers such as Mark Duval and Dr. Mike from You Can Bet on That. And they're mostly going to be running the labs for craps and blackjack, and also involved in some of our other recreational gaming activities.
Sounds good. Lots for beginners, lots for intermediate and advanced people in points and miles and gambling.
We don't know a couple of people. Last year, Gary Leff came and did a really good talk. I'm not sure his schedule. He never knows his schedule till much closer before. So there are still a couple of people who have not confirmed yet. They should confirm pretty much so by this summer. The thing that's good also, we do have a schedule. We won't have the exact sessions up until a little bit later this summer. But if you go to the Zorkfest website, you will see there is the actual schedule for when things occur. So on Friday, you'll see when the pre-sessions are, you'll see when the labs are, when the cocktail reception is. And then on Saturday, that will also give you an idea of all of the sessions at Zorkfest, telling you when we have labs early in the morning, our breakfast reception, and all of that. There is a schedule up that allows you to plan your weekend. And this is especially true if you decide that you want to leave on Sunday. You might want to look over the schedule because we have some masterclasses on Sunday, which have not been announced yet. And we also have some gaming experiences, as well as a foodie and dinner experience, which we usually do. So we do some additional optional things for people. Last year, we did a dinner incorporating the food that Frank Sinatra would have eaten in Las Vegas, and also Jack Daniels tasting with it. And that's another optional add-on. And actually, if you go to the TravelZork YouTube page, we have a video up there of the dinner we did last year. I think, as I've said already, we really want people to be able to get as much out of the weekend as they possibly want. So we fill a schedule where you could choose to do optional things, or you can go off and have your entire Sunday for free, or Friday night for free, and do whatever you want to do in Vegas, or even leave early on Sunday if that was your choice. So there's a lot of flexibility here. I would say that our social and food and beverage is really great. Our cocktail reception is wonderful. The fact that we're having miles and points labs before that and casino labs is going to make it even more fun. And we also do have other afternoon, like an afternoon social break during Zorkfest. So if you look on the schedule, there is a beverage and network mingle on Saturday afternoon, which we find that works really well. There is an optional Podcasters After Dark, which is basically a podcast panel kind of show that we put on Saturday night. And once again, something that's optional. It's included. Podcasters After Dark is included in your ticket. We usually have some travel and other influencers. This is going to be this year it's going to be a live episode of 360 Vegas, which is one of the top Vegas podcasts out there. It's interesting. Once again, it's another social circumstance that you have a chance to mingle. And that's at 8:30 at night on Saturday. And of course, that's, as I said, that's included with your Zorkfest ticket, but of course it's optional. So you have a lot of flexibility for your weekend, and we've done that on purpose.
I'll be arriving December 2nd and leaving on the 8th. So I'm going to give myself some time before the event and after the event. So hopefully listeners will be able to do that instead of being rushing, and they'll be able to get more out of their Vegas experience.
I think it's great to be able to integrate a weekend where you can have a great weekend in Vegas and also have the time to do all of this networking and educational stuff, which is wonderful because it's so different when you do it in person and when you can ask questions. You can get lots of ideas from people and ideas about what you're doing or ideas about what you should be doing possibly a little bit differently, or maybe clarifying that maybe some of the things that you're doing is right with travel loyalty or casino loyalty, but you should expand or do a few other things to optimize your behavior, because it is I always like to say it's a very personal thing. And you can take everything, casino loyalty, travel loyalty, as far as you want to take it. Some people get very obsessive and everything in their life revolves around how many points they're going to earn and how they're going to earn points. For other people, it's just trying to make their travel a little bit better and do some things in their normal day-to-day, which help them earn more points and also help them to redeem points in a better way, possibly ways that they've never even thought of before. So it's very personal. And I always like to say our number one goal is to get people to do things a little better than they've been doing it before. We're not looking to turn you into an obsessive travel loyalty person or casino loyalty person. We're just looking to improve on what you're currently doing. I think that's the most important thing.
I'm definitely here to encourage people to level up, and that's what the conference will be about, or at least presenting ideas to accelerate your points earning, to earn statuses with casinos. We hear all these rumors. Oh, Vegas is too expensive. Oh, Vegas is dead. Nobody's going anymore. Oh, it's all falling down. But year after year, even though there are some devaluations, there's still lots and lots of opportunity. And I find Vegas is one of the best value destinations, as there's a lot of intersection with points and miles to stay at low cost in Vegas and have a great experience.
Absolutely. And more in travel loyalty, everything is about figuring out, it's not always like figuring out the sweet spots, but understanding what are the good uses for points, how to find the best uses, when to use your points, when it doesn't make sense, when it does make sense. Other questions like status, when status makes sense, doesn't make sense. So many things out there are tools, right? You've got tools, you've got lots of apps that can be tools. You've got things like manufactured spending, which can be a tool. And you even have things like gambling that can be a tool. For a lot of people, they're interested in casino loyalty because for relatively low cost and low risk, they can often trigger things like free cruises. So that can be very valuable to people. So they don't love gambling that much, but if they can learn a little bit about how to gamble well or how to gamble in a relatively low risk fashion, that might allow them to use their travel loyalty to parse some casino loyalty to then trigger some offers that they can use that are for travel. It's not about turning them into a big gambler.
I play lots and lots of blackjack, and I don't come into it thinking, oh, I'm here looking for a rush. Oh, I'm here looking to get rich quick, or I'm going to make all these like really bad bets and try to run it up. I'm looking at it as, okay, if I can use this MGM credit card, for example, to fund BetMGM, play through the funds one time, I'm getting progress towards status. I'm getting at least 1% back in free play. And in the long run, I'm giving up about 0.5%. So it's a great value proposition. Of course, America loves math, and okay, we have an edge, and not every day is going to be a winning day or a break even day. There are going to be some ups and downs, but the math works out in the long run.
Right. These programs have changed so much. Like the best example of what I always talk about is like American Airlines, what they've done with loyalty points. And so many ways to get loyalty points without flying. There's a lot of benefits to getting loyalty points because of American Airlines status can be very beneficial for a number of people. And I think that's similar to what you're saying about MGM. There's a lot of reasons why having MGM status might be beneficial. So you're doing a lot of things to be able to earn tier credits with MGM because the value of that status. And it's less about the gambling, but a means to be able to get those tier points, which is similar with American Airlines and loyalty points, finding different ways that are a means to get those loyalty points. And then you're far more expert than me. Then there are other things like trying to use credit cards when you need to do a sign-up bonus and you have a spend amount that you need to do, and using credit cards by different means to be able to cover those sign-up bonuses. And that's also another interesting category. So there's just a lot of tools out there, and people don't necessarily think about it. I think sometimes people get triggered a little bit when you mention gambling because they go back to everyone loses, you should never gamble, gambling is bad. Which is funny to me because there's like a casino like within 2 hours of everyone in the United States. So no matter how bad you think gambling is, it's probably one of the number one activities out there in the United States that adults enjoy doing. And that gets to our second set of it, that is, if you do gamble, especially with casino loyalty, there are probably a number of things that you're not doing to optimize. I don't want to say that you're doing wrong, but I think things that you can do, which you can optimize the play that you have, whether you're in very simplistic terms, coming with a bankroll of $500 a weekend or $100,000 a weekend. There are things you should be doing when you play and how you approach it. Some of it is the games you play, potentially. Some of it is how you play. Some of it is dealing with your ratings. There's a way you can approach it so that you can do better in the comp game. So that's another side of it also.
Yes, we're not talking about gambling on the square, a term from Anthony Curtis, as you mentioned earlier, and some others. Like, I have some convenience stores and gas stations near me, and I see people going in there and sitting at these slot machines, or they call them skill machines, and maybe they're giving up about 5 to 10% to the house or the gas station, whatever happens to be the case. We're not talking about doing that. We're talking about gambling intelligently, finding different ways to have an advantage and leverage these programs for our benefit, not just going in and dropping money and I had a rush, I had a good time. Oh, I only ended up $1,000 down, and a person consistently losing. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about gambling problem or gambling addictions, as some people saying. We're encouraging people to use credit responsibly and gamble intelligently.
Exactly. And even if you are not interested in recreational gambling, there are certain things that you will learn that might still be useful for you for travel loyalty, which might involve some kind of gambling just as a tool to be able to get something, a low risk tool to be able to achieve something in a casino loyalty program that kicks off a really good travel benefit. I think you've discussed this many times on the podcast before, because we love to joke about Dave Ramsey. And none of this stuff is black and white. It's like when Dave Ramsey tries to say credit cards are bad, you should never use a credit card. This is so parallel to people when they say gambling is bad, you should never gamble. No, it's not that black and white, right? Credit cards are amazing. Credit card awards are amazing. But yeah, you shouldn't get a bunch of credit cards and pay 27% interest on them. Yeah, that's bad. But part of that, and it's the same with gambling, especially if you're gambling to get tier points or to reach a promotion, or even if you enjoy gambling recreationally, yeah, you shouldn't gamble beyond what you can afford to gamble. You shouldn't gamble. You should have limitations and restrictions on what you're doing. Of course, that's a personal responsibility thing, but you don't throw out the concept of using credit cards because people can't be personally responsible for the fact that they should pay their balances in full and not run up interest. That isn't a reason to get rid of it. That's more of a personal responsibility thing. And I believe that people need to learn from their mistakes, but also learn how to use things. But you don't like vilify concepts like credit cards or concepts like gambling just because some people out there are completely undisciplined or do things wrong. That doesn't mean you get rid of the tool.
It's the personal issue. It's how the tool is being used.
Right. And we don't solve personal issues by making those kind of blanket statements, right? That we assume people are intelligent and they can make their own decisions about what makes the most sense for them. Isn't that everything in life, right? That's even health, right? Eating fast food every once in a while is fine, but eating fast food 3 times a day isn't fine. But saying that you should never eat fast food is probably not really a great idea because that's not really the truth of it. And saying you should never eat fast food because you believe if somebody eats it once, they don't have the discipline to not eat it every day is silly. And that's where a lot of it does become into personal responsibility and risk. But also, one of the things that we learn from a lot of people, especially from casino loyalty, is understanding risk. And I think understanding risk is really important. And I think the funny part about it is a lot of times people who are gamblers and involved in casino loyalty have a better understanding than miles and points people with regard to actually analyzing risk a lot of times. Because I've seen a lot of miles and points people get into a lot of trouble with some advanced manufactured spend techniques and other things, which as somebody who always is analyzing casino loyalty programs, a lot of those kind of things are like seem way riskier to me than a lot of the things with gambling. Because a lot of the things like you were talking about, Justin, with playing blackjack and the stuff that you do online with MGM, that's very math based. That's like really not risky by the math. I mean, there's long-term, short-term variance and all of that, but it's not risky. But a lot of things that people do with manufactured spending, with trying to resell gift cards and do that, I find a lot of that is far more risky than the gambling. What do you think about that?
Yes, definitely have to evaluate deals, not get in over your head. And with a lot of these advanced techniques, I typically recommend starting small and building up over time. But sometimes people maybe get too excited and, oh, I'm going to go to 5 Staples today and I bought 10,000 in cards, but I don't know how to liquidate these cards or convert them to cash. And that's a problem. So usually I recommend people
Exactly.
starting small and building up from there.
And then they sometimes find a method to liquidate that's like too good to be true. Oh my God, I just send them all to this per company and they're going to give me this money and they're going to pay me within 60 days. Hope it all works out, right?
Yes, I have had some trusted sellers or buyers on the show before, and they have a good reputation in the community. But yes, there's always some kind of risk, and there's also organization that's a part of it as well. So yes, there's always going to be some risk or cost in most circumstances anyway. So whether it's gambling, whether it's miles and points, it's appropriate to evaluate those risks and costs. And very often things don't come free. Time is also a consideration as well.
No, absolutely. So I guess my main point here is when people get a little bit triggered or when they hear about gambling, that a lot of the things that you do when it comes to gambling and that I do when it comes to gambling are what we would consider in the big picture relatively low risk. So that's something good for people to understand. I'm really proud of Zorkfest. I have been. It's been a passion project for years. I keep doing it because I keep hearing from people how much they get out of it. That's always been very important to me. I've been doing miles and points and travel loyalty since the beginning of time, and maybe a little later than that for casino loyalty stuff. And I love seeing people get inspired and also do a little bit more, learn more and do more than they've been able to do before. And I think this kind of what we've done here, especially the mix of people, is really good. So there's a very limited, I think, and you can speak to this, Justin. It's not a very intimidating conference, even for experts and beginners, but the experts sort of still like it too, because there is a decent amount of high level talk. And that's always the catch-22 in a conference. Like, you want to be able to attract beginners, and that's why we're doing things like the pre-sessions, but we don't want to necessarily dumb it down, because one of the ways to really enhance what you do is to be around people doing things at a higher level. So I think we've really found a really good happy medium and mix there. And then we're also coming up with some great ideas for people who want to go really deep into some optional masterclasses for Sunday.
And we're hoping that people book early. I know the NFL schedule was recently released. There's a chance that a Raiders game might be on or around that time. I think a rodeo will be around the time other events. So I think as it gets closer to the date, the costs get higher with the flights, with the hotels and more. So hopefully people can book early.
There is actually going to be a Raiders game, but it's going to be Denver, which isn't one of the most popular teams. It is going to be a busy weekend in Vegas because there's the rodeo, there's an NFL game, which makes it a fun time to be in Vegas, but also makes it a time where you need to strategize about booking. And what I've told people is the early bird for Zorkfest is we have two things. We have a super early bird and an early bird. We had a pre-sale before we announced the property, where we gave a super duper price, not telling you what the property was. That ended a while ago. Right now, there's a super early bird. I think there are about 24 tickets left because that's only 50 tickets. And then when that sells out, we do the regular early bird through the end. Probably it's either going to be through the end of August or through the middle of September. So the buying your Zorkfest ticket shouldn't be a problem other than the super early bird. But basically reserving, we do encourage people, even with our room block or with your other comp offers or other things, to reserve a room early, because our rooms with our room block are refundable 48 hours. Most hotels that you book in Las Vegas are refundable 48 to 72 hours. And we also tell people to book your airfare, because most airfare is refundable, or at least refundable to voucher. And obviously now, because there is an NFL game that's Sunday, airfare on Monday will be more difficult because it's always busier after that. But if you're not flying home on Monday, that won't be impacted. But you could always just firm up all those refundable things even before you buy your Zorkfest ticket. As a reminder, Zorkfest tickets, even though they're not refundable, they are transferable for a fee. That's very good to keep in mind. I know it sounds like December's so far away, but even if you're not totally sure about getting your Zorkfest ticket yet, we encourage you to book your rooms or book your air, just so that you'll be covered, so that when you're ready to buy your Zorkfest ticket, say in July or August, you don't get shocked by our room block being sold out or something like that. In addition, for those who do have offers, because this is a Penn Gaming property, for those who don't have offers from Penn Gaming but do plan to gamble that weekend, we are operating with a host, and we're trying our best to get people comp and discounted rooms if they qualify based on having weekend comp rooms at other properties in Las Vegas or Atlantic City. So we encourage you to look at that section on the website also, and that could be a possibility. I'm really proud to say that we're probably one of the only loyalty conferences out there that really tries hard to get people a free room if they qualify. Of course, this is only for people who will be doing their normal recreational gambling that weekend. Obviously, if people try to trick us and get a free room and hurt the conference if they're not gambling, and we're not asking anyone to do anything different than what they regularly do. So if they're getting free room offers from Bellagio on the weekend, then people always say to me, how much do I have to gamble? I'd say, well, do whatever you would regularly do on your weekend at Bellagio. That's fine. But at least we've given you an avenue to get a comp room, especially if you're not part of Penn Play, which is a very large casino loyalty program, but it's not that large in Las Vegas because it's only M Resort.
And you do have some social gambling scheduled. Do you have reserved tables for different games? So maybe those people that do the offer matches for rooms at M could do the gambling with the people from Zorkfest.
Absolutely. And one of the great things this year is we have 3 reserved craps tables, and they're $10 and $15 tables. And we do what we love to call coffee dice on Sunday mornings, where I know for a fact you can bet on that is going to be there. And I know for a fact that Crap Vegas is going to be there, as well as a few others, but it's all starting to come together. 360 Vegas people will also be there. But this year, one of the tables is a $10 table and the other one's a $15, which is awesome. I also need to say one of the things we're so proud of at M Resort this year is they have all good gambling. All of their blackjack is 3-2. Even their double deck is 3-2. And their blackjack games are as low as $10 games. They have squeeze baccarat all day long for as low as $25, regular mini baccarat for $10, and they have 9-6 jacks or better for as low as 25.
Oh, nice.
As low as 25-cent denomination.
Oh, good. So people can definitely get the better house rules at M.
Yeah. So if you do want to gamble, especially for table games, having all 3-2 blackjack and being able to play a $10 or $15 3-2 blackjack game, $10 mini baccarat, also craps is mostly $10 at M Resort. And this is a great place to gamble. It's a great place to use your recreational gambling. And another thing that's really cool about M is you can use your accumulated comp points not only for food and beverage, but you can use it for the salon, the barbershop, as well as the spa, which I thought is pretty cool. And they can discretionary comp those things also. So that I think is cool. On top of it, they were nice enough to give us we have a reduced resort fee for those who book a room on our room block. Also really important to understand that all rooms at M include a free airport shuttle, which is another wonderful cost savings. And for those who book who do have an offer to match, and if we can match it and offer you a complimentary room, there will be no resort fee on the complimentary rooms. The room block, though, has a reduced resort fee.
Nice. Let's move on to listener questions. Subscribers on my subscribestar.com page have listener questions. So the first listener question, do you think gambling will be legal in Texas? And this comes from a listener from Texas who wonders, will I get a lot out of Zorkfest if I can't gamble in Texas?
I would say more than 60% of what we talk about is travel loyalty. So that's a very important thing to remember. And you're doing things with casino loyalty, which help you with your travel loyalty. And that's one of the areas. On top of the fact, many people do vacation in gambling destinations like Vegas, Atlantic City, Biloxi. That's a big part of it. So I don't think it necessarily has as much to do with the fact of whether you can gamble in Texas or not, which would make a big difference. Like, obviously, if you were able to gamble in Texas, there are skills and things you could learn that you could use locally. I don't think that's as big of a deal, especially because you have casinos within a couple hours drive of many people in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. Am I correct about that? Isn't Oklahoma, right? And other properties that people drive to. As far as gambling becoming legal in Texas, I don't really have a lot of thoughts about that. How about you, Justin? Have you looked into that at all? Has it been a...
Yes, I have played poker in Texas, so there is indeed Texas Hold'em in Texas. Although there they have to get around some rules in a way or be creative. Instead of taking a rake, a certain amount of money from the pot, for those unfamiliar, they charge an hourly fee, which is like a seat fee, and then they have a membership fee of being in the club. So when I was there a few years ago, it was actually a very good deal. I think the charge was maybe around $7 an hour, and then the membership fee was very minimal to have a weekly membership for when I was there. So unfortunately, no online blackjack, no sports betting as far as I know, online, like stateside regulated online gambling. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, I think, is really the promised land for online gambling and in-person gambling between all the Philly casinos, Atlantic City, and many other options.
My fear is that if they ever legalize gambling in Texas, which it's going to happen eventually, my fear is that a lot of times they have to give the state so much money to convince them out of it that it tends not to be so great for customers with regard to casino loyalty, because the more the state pays a jurisdiction, the less they can tend to offer players and comps. But that's shifting a little bit, because that used to always be the example of why you got more from casinos in Atlantic City than in Pennsylvania. And not only considering the competitive nature of it, the casinos pay a lot more money in taxes to the state of Pennsylvania than they do in Atlantic City to the state of New Jersey. And fundamentally, the more that a casino has to pay of their profits in taxes to a jurisdiction, the less they can give back to players with regard to promotions. Pennsylvania, the online game has changed some of that. With the brick and mortar, I think that's definitely true. That's shifting a little bit, but that's always been one of the metrics that I use. That's why some jurisdictions like Illinois, casino companies like Caesars Entertainment or Caesars Rewards would give players really good offers to go to Caesars in New Orleans. And you would say, why are you doing that when I have my local casino here in Illinois? And the reason why is because they pay so much less in taxes there that it's actually cheaper. If you have someone who's a very big gambler, it's actually better for them to bring them to a jurisdiction like New Orleans or Vegas and give them rooms and comps and get them to gamble there because they're going to be paying less to the state. So that's a little interesting nuance. And that's why your offers are often different in different markets, because different markets are taxing the casinos differently. So that's interesting to look at. It's not always exactly like that now. So it's hard to follow, but it used to be much, much closer to that. And it's also one reason why fundamentally casinos in Las Vegas provide better comps, because they're paying less to the state and they can give that back in marketing to players. So that's one reason why Las Vegas is better for players.
Yeah, the war on happiness in Texas, also in California. I hear many people from California, oh, I don't have the gambling online. Sports betting, not a thing online. So it's really a mess, unfortunately. So hopefully the political situation improves and more people have access to gambling to get more out of points and miles, casino loyalty. But I still think a lot of reasons to go to Zorkfest. You do have the miles and points content that's nationwide. You have the social experiences. You have a lot of one-on-one opportunities with speakers, the hallway conversations, the networking. So lots of reasons to go.
There's a lot to learn. And California is another really interesting one, because Palm Springs has some of the most interesting competitive casino loyalty areas, and is an area where they also do a lot of lost back promotions, which I absolutely adore. A lot of it is shifting. A lot of it is by market. It's good to be aware of these kind of things, because a lot of people can take advantage of situations that they didn't realize that they could take advantage of. Like, you don't have to be a big gambler if you happen to live in a Palm Springs area. Fantasy Springs does a lost back promotion twice a year. They do it once around Easter and once around Thanksgiving. And it's pretty much so a free roll up to $1,500 lost back. Now, they give you the lost back. You have to read the terms and conditions, because they give you that lost back over 3 weeks in January. So obviously you need to be local. But if you are local, if you lose $1,500, they're going to give you that $1,500 back in free play. So now you pretty much so have a free roll to go and gamble if you're willing to. And I've done it. I've done it when I was living in that area, and it's pretty darn amazing, right? To have an opportunity. I mean, you could play slots and lose the 1,500 recreational, but you're going to be given that back. But then you need to figure out how you're going to deal with the money that's given back to you, because they're hoping you're just going to lose that.
It's a callback to the Gambling with an Edge podcast. It was a classic promotion that was at Revel, now Ocean in Atlantic City, not Oceans, Ocean. That they had a promotion called You Can't Lose, I believe was the name of it. So many people were going in there and betting really high on slot machines with very high variance initially. And they figured, okay, if I lose the initial amount for the terms of the promotion, so say, okay, you can lose up to 10,000 and they'll reimburse you in 10,000 in free play. So they'll play high variance games with the potential of a big payoff at the start. And then with the lost back free play, then they would play some jacks or better video poker, like lesser variance and not as much house edge.
Yeah. And this year, we're really leaning into having you level up your video poker. So we're going to have a lot more talk about video poker this year, and using video poker as a tool, because video poker is great. Even bad, quote, bad video poker, not the best pay tables, is so much better than slot machines, and is such a good opportunity for you to earn tier points, especially if there's value in something like having Caesar's Diamond, because I know it's hard to get Caesar's Diamond now, because you don't have the Wyndham matches anymore. You don't have a lot of other avenues, but there are ways to do it with a 10 times tier multiplier with video poker. And if you play a low variance game, a low variance video poker game, it's really not that risky and fun. So and you could get your diamond or diamond plus status, especially during 5 times and 10 times tier. And these are things and techniques that we're going to be talking about. So I think it could be relevant to people, and especially if you trigger diamond or diamond plus from that day of play, even if it's a 10 times multiplier day, you're probably going to wind up with some cruise offers and some hotel room offers. So there's a lot of things that can kick off from there. So it's good stuff to consider.
Yes, the wins continue, and even though some status matching has gotten more difficult, there's still many pathways, so I'll definitely be talking about that at Zorkfest. A little bit of effort is needed, but we can't have it all for free.
But then there's effort for a lot of things that people have to do to cover their sign-up bonuses for travel credit cards. Those things take effort. Manufactured spend takes effort. There are things that you need to do. And sometimes you just need that little bit of effort because you need to learn how to cover. Maybe you have a sign-up bonus for a new credit card that requires 5,000 in spend, and maybe you just don't spend that much money. So you need to find mechanisms or to do that. And that's just things that we need to talk about. You need to understand all of those different tools. So it's good stuff, and things people have never thought about with regard to how they earn points or how they handle sign-up bonuses. I know you, Justin, on a daily basis probably pay a lot of attention to that, but there are other people who aren't, and you don't even have to pay a lot of attention. Like the best example I give to people is sometimes just the category bonuses for things like dining or grocery stores, just changing a little bit about the way you, like what credit card you use and stuff like that, can kick off thousands of more points a year without really a lot more effort.
Lots of ways to win, and maybe we got spoiled a little bit because some things were a lot easier. Now they're a little bit more difficult, but still worth the effort.
Things are more difficult, but certain things become, I wouldn't say necessarily become easier, but they become different. Who would have thought 5 years ago or 10 years ago that you could make executive platinum with American Airlines without flying? You would have never dreamed.
Buying meal kits, SIM cards, low-cost hotel rooms, and all these other strange mechanisms.
Exactly. And maybe when sometimes those mechanisms, it's not as black and white. I love to say that example. You don't need to fly and you could get executive platinum. But maybe the example is that you would have regularly qualified for platinum through your flying. But now you're going to do a couple other things and you're going to get executive platinum. So think how much better that's going to make your flying when you requalify. But you do the same thing through Delta. And for Delta, you do that through Delta. Think how much better it makes the effort that you take. Maybe you would have organically been Delta Gold, but the effort that you make to make you Diamond or Platinum at Delta, think how much better it makes your experiences when you fly on Delta.
Yeah, that's right. I do a lot of staple spend, buying the fee-free Mastercards, buying the FanDuel gift cards, and much more. So even at 1.5x Delta, I'm also getting progress towards status and many other benefits from the program. So not the biggest one in the world, but I'm just looking for more cards. Of course, the answer to everything is more credit cards. I'm just looking for volume. I maxed my Chase Ink Cashes for 5x that are really popular, so I'm looking for other cards that bonus office supply as well.
So it's great stuff. And it's not always just so black and white, like just doing this to get status, but sometimes to get a higher status level or to level up and do it a little bit better since you're doing it. So this is all stuff that we discuss. It's a great social group, lots of things going on. The only thing that we haven't really announced yet on Sunday is we know the time of when the master classes are going to be. And when we do the master classes, it's a really intense class from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. with a really nice, last year we did a really nice Asian buffet lunch because we want to make it a good experience for people. And also it makes it a really nice social lunch. And that's from 10 to 3 on Sunday. So the only thing I would say is if you're thinking about doing master classes, and we're going to have travel and casino master classes, then you're going to want to definitely leave Sunday at the end of the day, or if you're going back to the East Coast, Sunday on the red eye, or leave the next week. So that's just as far as schedule. But that's one of the reasons why we've put this entire outline of the schedule on the Zorkfest website so that you can really get an idea about those kind of things.
All right. And one more time for the website.
Zorkfest.com. That's Zorkfest.com.
And how do people find you and Travel Zork on
Oh,
social
it's
media?
really easy because it's at Travel Zork. That's TravelZork on all social platforms. We also have a Travel Zork Facebook group, which I think is a really great group. It's got a couple thousand people, but it answers a lot of questions for people. We encourage you to join the Travel Zork Facebook group. And otherwise, you can find me. I'm often on X quite a bit, but on all the platforms at Travel Zork. You can find us relatively easily. It's super, super easy. Everything is Travel Zork. I also want to tell you that we have two websites. We have travelzork.com. That's our main content website. That's our travel and casino loyalty website. We've been running that website since 2013. Justin does a wonderful loyalty corner article a couple times a month, almost weekly, which is fabulous. People have been loving that.
Yep.
Mark Meltzer also does a lot of Vegas roundup. And we talk about other casino, a lot of Vegas oriented casino loyalty, some travel loyalty. And what's really cool is we're relaunching the .com because that .com is the same theme that we've had since 2013. Just a lot of work because we have thousands of articles, but we're relaunching that within the next month and it's going to be absolutely fabulous. We also have a website that's travelzork.travel, which basically has to do with our luxury travel advisory and has a whole bunch of things about the different services that we provide and the different bookings. And I also encourage people to check out the Travel Zork YouTube page, all kinds of interesting content, hotel reviews. Also, my podcast with Mo Bestro, that's mostly about casino loyalty, travel loyalty, and Vegas. So lots out there, but pretty much so using Travel Zork will help you find everything.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm looking forward to having a blast at Zorkfest 2025 with you.
Thanks for listening and stay tuned for future episodes. Closing announcements, ticket sales for Zorkfest 2025, a miles, points, and gambling event we discussed in this episode, are live at zorkfest.travelzork.com. I hope to see you in Las Vegas from December 5th through the 7th at the M Resort Casino Hotel. I will also be speaking at Chicago Seminars event, Hyatt Regency O'Hare, November 7th through the 9th, 2025. Use promo code Hurdy, one word, when buying a ticket to support me. Also join me from October 24th through the 26th, 2025 for Chicago Seminars at Holiday Inn, Chicago Oakbrook. Use promo code I must have a promo code 20 for $20 off tickets. Visit meetup.com/Philly miles and points to RSVP for monthly Greater Philadelphia travel, credit miles and points meetups I host in Willow Grove, Pennsylvania. The next meetups are June 22nd and July 13th, 2025. Find a link in the show notes. For more content between podcast episodes, follow Hurdy Travel Podcast on Facebook and X. Follow Justin Vacula on Instagram. Subscribe to Hurdy Travel Podcast on YouTube, where you can subscribe for daily content, including travel videos, podcast clips, community, and bonus content. Search Hurdy Travel on subscribestar.com or become a channel member on YouTube to support my efforts starting at the $5 a month tip jar level. Receive special perks at higher subscriber levels, including private one-on-one conversations and asking podcast guests your questions. Find links and more at hurdytravel.com. I'm now an affiliate with Card Pointers. Use my affiliate link, cardpointers.com/hurdytravel, for a discount on annual and lifetime plans. Card Pointers has a great app and browser tools to automatically activate credit card linked offers from various banks to maximize your savings. The website UDIO created the podcast intro and outro music. It's not me singing. The AI features of the website Descript helped me edit and improve audio quality. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.
Travel at low cost with points and miles. Credit card rewards bring the smiles. Many adventures, tales to be told. Make and save money, the world will unfold. Fight the war on happiness, pick up the gold. Hurdy Travel Podcast breaks the mold.